And welcome to Delaware Live Sports, powered by 302 Sports, here for week number 8 of the Pigskins Picks. Myself and Trey Mitchell, we have our own Pat Garyantes. Pat, one of the OGs of Delaware. I mean, he outbeat me in 302 Sports.
That's crazy to think, Benny. That's pretty wild.
Pat does a little bit of everything for us. Whatever we ask him to do, Pat does. So let's get started right here with this week's picks. A lot of good games on the slate, and we're going to start right off with a single A game. 6 o'clock Friday night, number 4, First State Military at number 5, Brandywine. Trey, who do you have?
Yeah, these two teams are most likely fighting for one of the four at-large berths in Class A. Brandywine has just one win at home, but if you look at common opponents with Seaford and Conrad, it leans towards Brandywine. I'm leaning towards First State though in this game. I'm gonna take First State Military Academy.
Pat, who you got? The upstart First State Military Academy.
Yeah, upstart, right? They've looked really good. Like you said, coming in with a 5-2 record, obviously it ranked in our Super Sevens. I'm gonna flip on Trey here though, because of the reasons he said. The common opponents to me were kind of the differentiator when thinking about this one. So I'm gonna go with Brandywine.
All right. These two teams, like Trey said, fighting for an at-large berth, and to stay out of that 7 or 8 seed spot. They might both get in, but they don't want to be a 7 or 8 seed. Nobody wants to see Tatler or Indian River get started. This winner takes one step closer to that goal. We still have both teams have Polytech remaining on the schedule. I think First State finds a way and takes this one on the road, but I think it's going to be a tight one, exciting up there in Brandywine 100. Let's move to a downstate game, a rivalry game. Friday, 5 o'clock, the 4-3 Laurel Bulldogs take on the number 6 ranked 6-1 Delmar Wildcats. Trey, who do you have?
Yeah, Laurel, they're traveling one of the toughest places to play to get a road win. And like you said, it's a rivalry game, and both teams have their sights set on a trip to the state tournament. Delmar is still in the running for the District 3 title, and for Laurel, they need to stop Khalil Schoolfield, who we've watched the last few years, and that's not an easy assignment. And Delmar, they got to work with that big Laurel defensive front. To date, Laurel and Sussex Central have been the only teams to hold Woodbridge under 20 points. This is a tough one. I'm going back and forth. I think I'm going to go because how it is at home for Delmar. I'm going to go with Delmar.
Pat, I think you've had a chance to play in that place.
Twice, and it was my favorite place to travel to. The town's darn near shut down the entire time. It feels like the whole town's in there. All the businesses have closed signs in the windows, and then you arrive to the stadium. It's close. It's intimate. It was fun. They were upset with us. They were upset with us because we came down there and we beat them.
Right.
And that was my sophomore or no, my junior year,
Right.
and they were not happy about it, and they let us know. But I say it all the time. Delmar's got this. I don't know what it is about them, but the back half of their seasons are always strong. There's something about it. They finish strong and always find their way in the playoff picture. This year they've gotten off to a good start at 6-1. I'm gonna go with Delmar. I'm gonna go with Trey on this one. I think the Wildcats get it done on the home field.
Right. This is a trophy game, and I think Laurel might lead the state in trophy games. 3 of them: Brandywine, Seaford, and Delmar. Why did anybody like the Bulldogs? What's going on? The Wildcats, they're in the driver's seat, and they control their own destiny. To make the state tournament, they have been averaging 43 points per game the past 2 weeks, being held to just 2 TDs against Lake Forest and Sussex Tech. Laurel's 1-point loss to Woodbridge seems to have woken a sleeping dog. Laurel's defense has been stingy. I'm going to take Joey Jones and the Bulldogs. I got Laurel in a thriller in Delmar on Friday night. Let's move to another downstate game. 4-3 Milford and 4-3 Sussex Tech. 7 o'clock at Sussex Tech. Trey, who?
Yeah, Milford took one on the chin last week with Laurel, and the Bucks need to show that wasn't a knockout blow. The Ravens went down to Delmar 13-7, and both teams have state tournament hopes that are still alive. They both have big wins over a common opponent in Delcastle. It looks like there's a chance Greg Lockett's out. I believe he was taken off the field last week. I think that's kind of the deciding factor here. I like Tech at home.
Pat, last game in the nest. They're building a new stadium, and the Ravens come within a touchdown of Delmar last week.
Yeah, they're playing tough, 4-3. I know they've had a couple of rough seasons the last few. Milford they put it to my Vikings St. E's a couple of weeks ago, so they're coming in running strong. But in a game like this where I feel like it could go either way, I'm gonna lean with the home team here and go with the Ravens trying to close out the final season at home, or the nest, I believe is what you just called
The
it there.
Nest, yes.
I'm trying to close that thing down right.
The last ever game at the Nest, Milford comes in most likely. I'm confirmed that Greg Lockett will not play. He left the game last Saturday in the first half with a knee injury. He is the heart of their offense. But I think they found something in Riley or Rankin at quarterback last week. Sussex Tech is healthy, coming off a tough loss to Delmar. Milford's banged up. They will turn out the lights on the Nest after the game. Expect a large home crowd for the Ravens to play with emotion. I think in the end, you're not going to be able to scout that Milford offense. You only got to see a half of what they're going to do this week. They had to change their entire offense at halftime. I think Milford gets the win and keeps their state tournament hopes alive. I think just because how do you scout a team, you don't know what they're going to do. So let's move to an upstate game. 4-3 Mount Pleasant against 3-4 Wilmington Friends. Trey.
Yeah, Mount Pleasant got off to a hot start this first half of the season, going 4-1. But since district play started, they've really cooled off. They've lost their last two, giving up 77 points. And Friends seems to have a pattern: loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. So they're due for a win, and they don't have any common opponents. And this is a big District 2 game. I like Friends at home.
Pat, homecoming
Yeah,
in Alapocus.
Alapocus, man. I'll tell you, and gorgeous area, gorgeous
Right.
area. I've been through many a hikes in Alapocus State Park. It's phenomenal. But the differentiator for me, discipline. And year in and year out, Friends plays disciplined football. They may not be the most athletic team in the world. They may not be the most talented guys, but they find ways because they know what they're doing. They know their responsibilities, and they're just a fundamentally sound football team. Unfortunately for Nick Halliday's Green Knights, I think the slide continues. I'm gonna go with the Quakers.
Got to see Wilmington Friends last week, and if we could have videoed it in black and white, they look like an old '30s team. The way they run, they run with their pads, heads forward, shoulders down. They're fun to watch. 2:30 kickoff. It's homecoming. The Quakers will dink, they'll dunk, they'll chew up clock, and they'll get a big homecoming win on Saturday. Wilmington Friends wins, and they're going to get to 500 on the season. A big 2A game. Saturday at 11, Howard at number 4 Archmere. Archmere 6-1, Howard 4-3. Trey?
Yeah, Howard started the season 0-3, and what have they done since? They've won four straight, averaging 44 points a game this last 3 weeks. Archmere's lone loss is to a tough Caravel team, and the Auks, they want to get back in that state championship game. They seem to be a 3-touchdown team game every week. They've only allowed 13 points per game since that Caravel loss, but I want to go with a hot hand here. I'm going to take Howard in an upset.
Pat, these two and Woodbridge are probably the best shot at getting Caravel, but can anybody get Caravel?
I can't say it confidently. I'm definitely not going on the record for that one right there. Caravel looks like a juggernaut. But Trey's stealing my thunder here, man, on this. He really is, man. I've seen Howard now twice this season. You got a great backfield with Greer and Madry leading the way. Those guys are studs, and Madry gets it done on the defensive side of the ball too. And then they got a freshman quarterback, Bryant. Nick Alisadrine, he's all over the Decide Drummond fan club. He's the leader of that. Well, I'm on this young man's fan club. This kid is only getting better every week. I'm going to go with the Wildcats winning their 5th in a row and shocking the Auks.
All right, the Flying Penguin. Archmere, they're looking to return to the state finals. With the exception of that loss to Caravel, they've dispatched their opponents each week. Howard, as you guys said, might be the hottest team in Class AA right now. They started out 0-3 on that 4-game losing streak. They make it 5 in a row. Howard pulls the upset here. Let's go downstate and old Henny North game. 5-2 Cape Henlopen, 3-4 Smyrna. Cape is number 6, Smyrna's number 7. It's a 7 o'clock kickoff in Smyrna. Trey, who do you have?
Yeah, it's a tricky one to pick. Smyrna's losses have come to 1, 2, and 4 in the state, plus a powerhouse in PA and Downtown West. So they're battle tested, and Cape has 3 wins against Class 2A teams, and they've beaten St. Mark's and Caesar Rodney. And the CR game is what makes it tricky because CR had a win over Hodgson, Cape had a loss to Hodgson, and Cape goes and lights that CR scoreboard up. So Smyrna's gonna need to run the ball, and Cape's been playing well against passing teams. So, just I'm gonna go based off last week with that scoring from Cape. I like Cape here.
Pat, you guys see a little bit of Smyrna this year. What do you think?
Okay, well, it's kind of, if there is such a thing down there under Coach Judy, it's kind of a rebuilding year for this offense. They've lost some weapons through the year for the first time, it feels like, in a decade, and I think it might be. There's no Knight brother,
Right.
leading the charge there. Defensively, they've taken a step back after having one of the best defenses I've seen in the state a couple of years ago. It's a down year. I think Smyrna, the home field advantage would keep this thing close, but Tingle and company from Cape, I feel like they're the up and coming team. I agree with Trey on this one. I'm gonna go with Cape coming up and getting it done.
Possibly the biggest toss-up game on our slate this week. They each have a game that throws off my radar here. Cape's lost to Hodgson. Smyrna's narrow win over Cesar Rodney. This game has the potential of being high scoring. The Eagles are in a must-win scenario, which makes them dangerous at home. Uh, the Cape, uh, the Cape and Logan defense is much better defending the pass than the run. I give the Vikings a slight advantage there. Don't leave early. Cape's going to win this one late. And then another big game. You guys had one last week, Pat. You're going to get to be there again this week. Trey, number one Salesian versus number four Middletown are both 6-1.
Yeah, I think this game's been circled on every Delaware football fan's calendar since schedules came out. And Middletown's kind of flown under the radar since that loss to Central in week one. But remember that loss was only in the final seconds of the game on the road. Friday night, they're home. But Sally's has a legit defense, and it could be the difference, and I think that will be the difference in this game. I like Sally's here.
Yeah, Pat, people I think have probably forgotten about that loss down in Georgetown. Middletown has just quietly built themselves right back in. Triple A is going to be fun to watch this year, and it's from the semis on.
I agree with you. I think we kind of wrote Middletown off, and a lot of attention was focused on Appaquinimink, who's kind of been the up and coming team there in the area, and then Sally's really just they kind of dominated that game against Appo last week, from what I heard. Obviously we weren't there, but this will be interesting. I feel like both teams might have another letdown in them. I just think Paul Warlow going to the Jets
Right.
after the game. To me, it just reeks of Middle. I think Middletown gets this done. I think that they continue to ascend. They're a team that's kind of been building and getting hot at the right time. I think Middletown win. Close game though. I think
Right.
this is gonna be a really close game.
And it's going to be a fun stadium to watch the game in. You guys will be there calling it live. Glenn, Frazier, Nick Alcindrini, and Pat Garyantes will be on the call there. Biggest game of the season, part two, because we just had it last week. The Sows gave Appaquiddick their first loss. I thought the Sows showed they're a little bit mortal. They head into what will probably be a hostile Middletown stadium. Uh, I'm going to take the safe pick. I'm going to go with Salesian. I'm going to go with the number one team. I think you're right there, Pat. I think it's going to be very, very close and it's state of the end. So let's go to our final game on the slate. I'll have this game with Jim Tack. That's 2-4 Dover versus 6-1 Sussex Central. Sussex Central ranked number three. Trey, we don't know hardly anything about Dover.
Yeah, man, and we don't know much about Dover, and they historically are a team Sussex Central seems to struggle with. But it does lead to good games for us to watch and call.
Right.
Central won 13-12 last year, and this year Dover's going through a coaching change, and it kind of feels like they're going through some growing pains with it. Um, so with that said, I still think Dover gives them some trouble, but Central's at home. I always say they're tough in the castle. I very, very, very rarely pick against Central in the castle, and I'm not doing that today. So Sussex Central at home.
Pat, I think you had the call several years ago, 2020 semifinal game.
Oh, what a game that was!
Right.
That was maybe the most fun game that we've done. The Barnes is trying to think of who else we had. The young man from Dover that went to Temple was the quarterback there.
McGee.
Yeah.
Jordan McGee.
Yeah, he's a linebacker for the Commanders now. Let's go.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, the kid was unbelievable. That was a great game. Malik Bell. Do I need to say anything more? I mean, he's got a chain. I feel like he's wearing that chain every week.
Right.
Wing T offense. That carries a special place in my heart, Benny.
Sure.
So I got to go with the Golden Knights getting it done.
Call Mike Bell comma. The first guy to put a comma in his yardage this season. Game 6, he got to 1,000 as a fullback. You know,
It's
a lot
insane.
of belly, a lot of guard trap there. Downstate is our downstate game of the week. The Golden Knights, they kind of stumbled through last Saturday's game with St. George's, or, early morning game, 11 o'clock, but they came in on the other end with the win. Dover's very athletic, but it seems to be up and down throughout the season. Sussex Central keeps it rolling this week, headed for that season finale showdown with Smyrna for the district championship. I got the Golden Knights winning here to go 7-1. Pat, so obviously you're going to be there at Sally's in Middletown. AAA, let's talk about it. How exciting has it now become with Appo throwing their hat in the ring?
Yeah, I mean it's going to be those three obviously are ones to keep an eye on, but it could go any type of way. I mean, Cape could come up out of nowhere. Last year, you saw Smyrna get hot at the right time and almost pull off a big time upset against the eventual state champs. So, and you can never count them out. They're too well coached of a program. Obviously Central is going to be in the mix as well. There's a lot of ways that you could lean here in 3A. It's been the Wild West for sure.
Absolutely. AAA, everybody's starting to get closer together. Some of the records aren't the same. Some guys have some 2-5 records, but a team like Cesar Rodney that put a scare into Smyrna beat up. I think Hodgson's a good team. How they're 2-5, I don't know. I think they're a very talented team. But a team like Sussex Central, are they the team that maybe has a shot at Salesian?
Yeah, I mean, Central places they stick to what they do. They control the clock. They run the ball. They run the ball. They run the ball. Every once in a while, we get a pass to break it up, but they eat clock. They take. I mean, from what I understand, Coach Wells like to see if he can get a whole quarter with the ball.
Right.
So they're definitely. I mean, just in general in AAA, there's 2-5 teams at any given week. Like I say, any given Sunday, any given Saturday. Well, it's any given Friday in AAA football for us right now. But yeah, like you said, Sussex Central, they definitely have the. It's there for them if they want to go get down and get a Sally's. But you never know, man. Once those lights come on in the playoffs, you really see who really wants it.
Yeah, Marvin Dooley told me that John Wells is going to do what John Wells is going to do. He's not going to try to surprise you. You just got to stop it. So Pat, good luck out there Friday night. You get the blue light special
I do.
with the flashing blue lights every time Middletown scores, and he called it blue light special. He says Middletown gets the Sal's. I'm not willing to make that pick. I'm gonna play a little bit safer. I'm a little bit of a chicken. So
I've got a history with Salesianum. If you, a couple of years ago in basketball, a quote of mine was posted in their locker room according to their head coach, and he made sure that I knew about it after they won the state championship. So hey, it is what it is, you know.
Well, thank you, Garyantes. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight, folks. We'll see you at kickoff on Delaware Live Sports. Have a good night.